everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes every. You turn my morning into dancing. 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 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing. 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. Oh, there's something about your love, something about your love changes everything in my body. Oh, something about your love, something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. 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 Something about your love, something about your love changes everything.
Good morning, Firmly Rooted family. Pastor Tom, Firmly Rooted Ministries. And as you can see, we're doing devotions from the house today. My computer died yesterday in the office. I got this massive, super powerful gaming computer, and in the middle of a meeting with Ken Gooch, it just went black. And I thought it was just the screensaver, but it wasn't. So working from my laptop today. The laptop is doing overtime. Kimberly came downstairs and told me to apologize to the ladies. She doesn't know what happened, but her devotion just kind of cut off at the end. And so she apologizes for that. I hope it's not our internet, because our internet typically is working pretty good. We're doing Tom Donnelly, Pastor Tom memory verses. Just I don't know, just I guess just for information's sake. There was a lot that I didn't like about the seminary, but there was some things I really liked, and one of them was a professor who would come in and he would just state a reference verse, and he would go around the room and tell each person to go look it up. And then he would, as he was doing his lecture, he would go boom, and then you would say the verse, and then he would restate that verse in the version that he memorized it in. And I realized that he had all these verses memorized. He didn't look at his Bible. He didn't look at anything. And I just began to realize that preaching, teaching, what about even visiting someone in a hospital rather than looking at a book? What if you can look at their eyes and you can take care of what you need to take care of? And so I started memorizing verses because he challenged, just like, what if you just did one a week? And then I just began to plow through, and so he was my motivation for doing that. I'm just letting you know. Let's see who's on board, and then we'll get busy into this devotion. Sorry about that digression. Vivian Davis, good morning. Dr. Colleen, good morning. Chuck, good morning. Connie Sandbrink from the Rooted Greendale, great to have you and great to be with you this last weekend. Kirsty Bipes from Firmly Rooted Greendale as well. Sandy, good morning. Steve Ponoworski, good morning. Jody, good morning. Hey, Jody, thank you for the prayer cloth, or prayer whatever we're going to call it. Thank you. She makes these and she sends them out to people who are sick or hurting, and she knows that I've been having issues with my back, and so she sent me this, and so know that it has been on the chair with me. It has been with me for prayer time, and so thank you, Jody. Love you, and appreciate that gift. Alice, good morning. Bert, good morning. Emily, good morning. Karen Thompson, good morning. My sister Trish, man, we're loaded up today. Good morning. Teresa Mason, good morning. And Jody, well, thank you, sweetheart. I really love it. All right, let's pull up the verse and we'll get at it. So there it is. It's one verse, Psalm 26, verse 3. For your steadfast love is before my eyes. Your steadfast love. Steadfast. Immovable. Your immovable, eternal love for me is ever before my eyes. And I walk in your faithfulness, not in my faithfulness, in your faithfulness. And I just want you to go back to the Garden of Eden and imagine for a second, before Adam and Eve fell, what did they experience? What did they know? They knew that God had a steadfast love for them, and they knew that he was faithful and true. That's what they knew. They didn't know anything else. They were created in his image. It's why we firmly root ourselves in God's unconditional love and his eternal truth. Do you see? Think about it this way. If God's love and his truth and faithfulness, they go together, faithfulness and truth. If those are the things that existed before the fall, that those are the things that were lost after the fall, but they're the things that are renewed in Jesus' coming, the kingdom of God is at hand, and he introduces love and faithfulness again, not ours, his. That Jesus is the representative of God's steadfast love and his faithfulness. Jesus was born because God loved us and faithfully made sure it happened just like he said it would. It's about him. We constantly are making stuff about us. It ain't about us. It's about him. So the question for today is not just, do I know that theologically, or that I've memorized the firmly rooted mission statement that we firmly root God's people in his unconditional love and in his eternal truth. Do I live like it? Is it always before our eyes? There you go. Listen, is it always before our eyes? No matter what you're going through, no matter what trial you may be facing, no matter what might be going on in your life, can you, with your other eyes, with your faith eyes, see that God unconditionally loves you and that will never change, and he is eternally faithful and true, and that will never change. And so when you're at your lowest point, look up. So what's before your eyes today? Worry, fear, doubts, judgment, anger? Close your eyes for a second. Paul says we walk by faith and not by sight. Close your eyes and set all that stuff aside for a minute. All those things, all the things, set them aside, set them aside, set them aside. What's left? He loves you, and that'll never change. And he will be eternally true and faithful to you. That will never change. I love this memory verse because it's not about me. The question is, for me, do I see it? Is it before my eyes? As this busy day begins to roll, do I keep his unconditional love and his faithfulness and his truth before my eyes, before my eyes, before my eyes? Or do I let my eyes get overwhelmed with all the stuff that I see? You see it? We walk by faith and not by sight. We got to exercise our new nature. We've got to separate. We've got to be able to have two sets of eyes. A physical eyes that see the things that are going on, and spiritual eyes that see the spiritual things going on. It's called discernment, to see things the way God sees them. So today, throughout the day, pause, stop, find his steadfast love, his faithfulness, and his truth, and set it before your eyes. Make sense? All right. Well, that's one of my memory verses, and that's kind of why I decided to memorize that particular verse. I hope that this devotion has been a blessing to you. Have a great day. Make it a firmly rooted day, and may someone see Jesus in us today. Peace.